had our moments. We got back into the game. We had that run when Stewie was guarding Caitlin Clark, but then they executed well. And, we had so many breakdowns on defense, and they made shots. They really punished us on that end, making, 17 threes from 35. It was just too wide open. So a little lack of communication. We had to obviously work these two, probably overworked them tonight. But, a lot of things that we can learn. And like I said before the game, we're nowhere near where we need to be.
Seems like Sabrina, you and Caitlin are both, some of the best shooters in this game. We're exchanging threes throughout the first half. I mean, would a shooter get into that rhythm like she did, I guess, to see that after missing so many games? How impressive is that? And how defeating is when you're trying to catch up and they just keep making.
I mean, it's not defeating. Basketball's a game of runs, and the same way like we go on runs, they do as well. They're a great team. So I don't think it's defeating. I think obviously we know what a great shooter she is, and I think we just gave her too many easy ones. Obviously, she has great range, and her ability to get her shot off is really impressive, especially with missing some games. And so obviously on a personal level, I'm really happy to see her back out on the court, healthy, feeling good, because obviously it's important for them, but just for her, I'm happy she's back.
And Breanna's message to the team after tonight's game on what you thought they needed to hear, I guess.
I mean, my message to the team was to keep your heads up. I mean, we are now 10 games into the season and we have a long ways to go. But, there was a few games early on where we kind of squeaked out wins. We got away with some things and we ended up with the win. And a loss is an opportunity for everyone to kind of look at themselves in the mirror and really focus and lock in on the things that we need to get better. And this is a long season. So to think that anybody's going to go undefeated throughout the entire thing is like impossible.
We'll turn it over to Zoom, starting with Andrew.
Thank you, Ryan. Coach, just want to ask you what you thought about your team shot selection and just those threes that Sydney Colson hit. I mean, normally she doesn't hit those threes well. You just talk about those two elements there.
Yeah, look, obviously, we had to rely on these two players here, and we didn't get to the rim. Early in the game we did. I think we had about 32 points in the paint in the first half, and we didn't get as many open ones as we did in the second half, and that's on the coaching staff. We've got to make it a little bit easier for them in that regard. But they're switching. They were very disrupted. They were very physical, and we've got to be a better job at executing that. What was the other question?
Sydney
It's
Colson.
about Colson.
Oh, Sydney Colson. Look, we had so many breakdowns on defense. We had some great moments, and then we had some really poor moments. We just overhelped off the corners for no reason there. We didn't have the second efforts to close out. And, obviously all players, they're pros for a reason. Everyone can make a shot. And, obviously Sophie made a few and Colson made a few and Hull and they're the daggers. So we can be better. And it's like we said, it's 10 games in. It's an opportunity for us to reflect, to review, and then make sure we have better execution next game.
We'll go to Jackie.
Hi, all. I've got one for each player, if that's all right. Sabrina, when you all are spending the majority of a game down, how do you think the offense gets a little bit rushed and that maybe leads to a little bit less passing and more just quick shot making or taking, rather?
I think it's not necessarily when we're down. I think it's just when we're not getting stops. And we don't necessarily play the score. I think it's just when we're having to take the ball out of the basket and we don't have our transition and push and flow. I think that's when we break down a little bit. And so I would say this is great learning for us to just be able to understand when things aren't going well and things are a little clunky offensively and defensively, how we can stay together and figure out ways to get easier looks for one another. And, I didn't think we did a great job of that tonight. And obviously, like Stewie said, we got a lot of games left to be able to continue to improve in that area.